moved by the Spirit to be good news to all. Love in action. Dear brothers and sisters, in this sixth Sunday of Easter, we reflect on the first reading, which is taken from the Acts chapter 8, verses 5 to 8. And then we see the responsorial Psalm 65. Psalm 65. The second reading is from 1 Peter chapter 3, verses 15 to 18. And the Gospel of John chapter 14, 15 to 21. I shall ask the Father, and he will give you another advocate. The first reading, dear friends, from the Acts, we see that in this Easter season that we are living, you and me, the apostles continue the mission to spread the good news of what they have learned from Jesus Christ. And we also, Christians, followers of Christ, are also continuing Jesus' mission to spread the good news, not the bad news, with our words, but also and especially with our action, we spread the good news. So we see Philip goes to Samaria to preach the good news. Samaria is one of the cities which was far away from the Jewish kind of tradition, and they were kind of like cut off from the Jewish culture. That's why we hear of Jesus and the Samaritan woman. You are a Jew and I'm a Samaritan. The Samaritans accept the good news as Philip preaches. And then Philip receives good news from Jesus, and he joyfully looks for occasions to share it with others. When we receive something good, dear friends, something beautiful, something which is delighting to our hearts, do we often keep such good things only for ourselves, or we share it with others? We actually naturally feel the joy and the beauty of sharing such good, positive things to others. I just take an example of like a husband sharing with a wife. A husband feels something is good, and the first person to think about is the wife. The parents sharing with the children. The parents see something is beautiful, something good, and the first people to feel is the children who are under their care. Then the children with the parents. That the children feel like, I've got something right here. And the first person to think about is to see how they can give the parents, or to share even among themselves. Because when we hit something good, we feel something good in us, we feel the beauty to share it. All the brothers sharing with brothers in a community, religious community. So that this joy and goodness can spread like fire to us, but also to others. When we feel something good, we share it so that this goodness continues to spread like fire. In that case, we see that this is when actually good and positive things begin to happen to us. When we receive, entertain, and share these good positive things that respect the human person and his or her dignity as a person created in the image and likeness of God. When we share these good things that respect the human person and his dignity, a person created for great things, because created in the image of God, what a beautiful privilege. Not anymore as slaves, but as friends and a free child of God. We look at another person as a friend, as a free person, not to keep on enslaving and trampling on the other person. That gone are the days when people looked at the others as slaves. So each one of us is called to make people more free and not to enslave them in any way. So the question would be, how can I help others to be more free psychologically, more free physically, more free spiritually, more free even materially, or holistically as human beings? In such a situation of goodness, dear brothers and sisters, bad and negative things knock themselves off and do not find a place in a person who has chosen to be good, to be positive in every situation, no matter what happens. Dear friends, we are so much, when we enter into a system of goodness, the bad things stop happening in us. And if they happen, we know how to come out of them, because we know inside us we have the power of goodness in us. And we hear the responsorial Psalm, dear friends, number 65, the Psalm 65, picking up something beautiful. It says, cry out with joy to God, all the earth. With what we are, with what we have, and all what we think we do not have, or our nothingness, with all our gifts, our small or big gifts, our talents, with all our whole being, the body, mind, heart, and soul. The psalmist today, dear friends, invites us to cry out to God, all the earth, all people of God. But why to cry out? Because God has saved us. He has freed us. He has won evil, including the death. He has won our enemies. Salvation or liberation, our healing is for all God's people, not only for the Jews or the chosen few. So that's why we have to cry out, because our salvation has come, our liberation has come. So we cry out, dear friends, with joy, but also with sorrow, depending on the state of our mind, to our victorious God. We cry out with words, deeds, daily living, with a way of living every day, because of what God did to my soul. What has God done in my life? It is natural for us to exaggerate or look at one thing that seems not to be going on well sometimes in life, and we forget the many 99 and more things that are going on right. How many times, dear friends, do we need to remind ourselves of the many good things that God does in our lives and in our lives, in the lives of all the other people who are around us? Every moment God does many things. Even in the most difficult moments of our lives, God does many things. Even now, right now, as we hear God's good news that saves and that heals, that frees us and that grants us peace. So the gospel, dear friends, which is taken from John chapter 14, says that I will not leave you as orphans. I will give you another advocate. The context is that it is within the Last Supper, before the passion, death, and resurrection of Jesus. Jesus encourages these disciples. So the disciples are worried that their great master will suffer, will die. No, master, you've been with us, you are going to die. They were relying on him. You have been with us, we couldn't do anything without you. Then the question for them is, how will they now remain without Jesus? In today's liturgical readings of the same text of John are within the context awaiting the ascension of Jesus into heaven. After the resurrection, we know very well how Jesus continues even to reveal himself like the disciples of Emmaus. So before Jesus ascends to his Father and to our Father, he encourages his disciples that he will not leave them as orphans. He will not leave them alone. The question would be, when or what are the moments that we felt alone, helpless, like no one cares for our lives, like everything seems to be ended, or we feel blocked in life and we do not know how to proceed or where to proceed? It is then that our God always encourages us and he consoles us and he speaks to us. He goes ahead of us and takes the initiative. He invites us, you and me, to open our hearts and listen to his voice as we read the Bible, his word. Jesus is close to us, especially with the brokenhearted. He is with us until the end of time, to journey with us and within us through his Spirit, or the Spirit of the Father. Let us continue casting our joys and our burdens of life onto him always, and never journey alone. In that case, our burden will be light. Let us continue crying on to him, thanking him for the blessings, the many blessings that we receive, and requesting him to always come to our assistance with the constant prayers that we make. In the Gospel of John, Jesus commands us to love. He commands us for our good. It's like a doctor who examines the patient and then commands or prescribes the proper medication so that the patient feels good. He is healed and he enjoys life when he or she follows the proper prescriptions of the doctor. And this is what Jesus says: if you love me, you will keep my commandments. And what are these commandments? The commandments are of love. The commandment of love. Jesus commands us to love God above all, and to love our neighbor as we love ourselves. And that's why to love our neighbor as Jesus did means to wash the feet as an example of humility. Him who was master, he humbles himself. He kneels down even to wash the feet. And he invites us that as Christians we are called to kneel down, to humble ourselves, and never get tired of helping others, serving others. If one loves himself, he will not hurt or do bad things to himself. So why then hurt others? Forgetting that many times when we hurt others, we are hurting ourselves. It's just enough to remember an example of the husband and the wife in a family, whereby a husband says, I gave her a piece of my mind. forgetting that after, okay, for a short moment I'm happy, then after a short time I feel, wow, if he's not happy, I am not happy. It's like cutting a branch where one is seated, because you sit, you fall with it. The commandment of love continues. If you love me, says Jesus, you will keep my commandments. Or if you keep my commandments, then it means you love me. And the consequence is what? I will ask the Father to give you another advocate, the Holy Spirit, the lawyer, the helper, the mediator, one who keeps and speaks on our behalf, our intercessor, to be with you forever, says Jesus. Jesus is the first advocate. That's why he says, I will give you another advocate. Jesus is the first helper. He's the first one to enter and intercede for us. So the Spirit, the advocate, is with you, with us, in you, in us, in our hearts, in our lives. Jesus basically carries out his mission of salvation visibly from outside. If we see what Jesus did, he did everything from outside with his deeds and with the actions, his words, through his external words and deeds. And it was from outside that a person would feel inside, especially just enough to remember the miracles. And he moves from outside with the external words and deeds to inside, because he is the visible face of the invisible God, Emmanuel, God with us. God willed that he becomes visible through Christ. So the Holy Spirit, dear friends, operates from within. Just as Jesus operates from outside to inside, the Holy Spirit operates from within and puts our hearts on fire of love, leading us outside. What we experience from within goes outside to be visible and concrete carriers of the good news, not the bad news, of God's love, of God's peace and God's reconciliation and happiness to others, making each other's burden light, making the life of others happy and worth living as children who are free, as children of God. So, dear friends, with the fire of the Holy Spirit within our hearts, the fire of love, we are enabled to face the internal and external circumstances of our lives with whatever comes our way. We are not afraid because we feel we have that fire of the Spirit and God is with us and we experience it. We are able to face the outside, whatever comes, because our God is with us, Emmanuel, and is within us, the Holy Spirit, as always, until the end of time. That Spirit of God the Father, the Spirit of God the Son, is within us until the end of time. Dear brothers and sisters, let's pray that may God bless us, our families, friends, and the good works of our hands, encouraged by St. Augustine saying, the measure of love is to love without measure.